After countless adventures in the Boiling Isles, the mid-season Owl House finale is taking a side quest to the human realm. Not only does it look like Luz's hometown is far more interconnected with the demon realm than we've been led to believe, but we finally got to meet Luz's mysterious doppelganger. You're watching WhitneyVision, and this is my breakdown of yesterday's lie. This is your spoiler warning! If you haven't caught up on this week's Owl House, hit pause on this video and come back when you've scored a fresh deck of Hexas Hold'em cards. Let's dive in. I'm sorry, but there's absolutely zero way that Emperor Belos is smarter than the gang at the Owl House. Luz, Ida, King, and Hootie managed to rebuild themselves a working portal door in a fraction of the time that Belos finally got his up and running. And granted, the only reason theirs worked and his didn't is because Luz still had Amity's glove covered in Titan blood, but you gotta admit it's pretty hilarious that a human, a covenless witch, a demon, and a whatever beat the evil Emperor of the Boiling Isles to the jump. Belos' door is definitely a lot fancier, but the Batgirl Covens has ingenuity and functionality, so take that, you old mudman. Luz's portal is made mostly of Ida's apocalypse supplies, so according to her, the ingredients were actually easy to find. Besides the purple door held upright with broomsticks and cinder blocks, there's also an old school antenna coming out the back of it next to the skull. On a pink hanger to the right, we have what looks like one of Sid's abominations from Toy Story, a baby doll head on a reptile's body. Below that is an abomination head suspended in green goo, and on the other side, small skulls are suspended in baggies filled with liquid as well. On the bottom left, there's that taco-shaped Cyclops demon from the bug classification. Not sure what its powers are, but hopefully we'll find out why it was a good conduit for the portal in a later episode. On the door itself, there are several taped-on pieces of paper that must have spell glyphs written on the opposite side. Wrapped around the entire door is a long cable held together by an extension cord and attached to Ida's bike. Ida's bike is in a bathtub with a skull at the front of it, hooked up to its own antenna to generate enough electricity to power up the door. With a bloody finger of Amity's glove taped to the door, they're ready for takeoff. Instead of being transported back to the shack in the woods near her home, Luz gets transported to an in-between realm that connects the human and demon realms. Based on the Einstein-Rosen bridge diagram from Knock Knock Knockin' on Hootie's door, this space was of interest to WhitneyVision's research. This warp zone seems to be directly connected to reflective surfaces, implying that possibly the demon realm and the human realm are somehow reflections of one another. When Luz says someone's name out loud, a cube appears with a window to that person's location. She's able to travel to any reflective surface near a desired target, but she can't physically interact with anyone. So when Luz takes a deep breath and tells herself to count to 5, she's taken to the nearest reflection of the mysterious doppelganger that's taken over her life. This is coincidental, because fake Luz's real name is number 5, so by saying 5, she actually invokes the scrying magic of this realm. In a pleasant surprise, creepy Luz isn't actually creepy at all. She's actually a real sweetie who just wants to be loved. I was completely shocked by this reveal, because I loved the creepy Luz theory about her being a sinister force, but this cute bean is impossible not to have empathy for. As we soon learn, V is a basilisk. We learned a little bit about the Boiling Isles version of these legendary lizards last season, when a greater basilisk disguised herself as an inspector from the Emperor's Coven and conned her way into Hexside, in order to feast on academic magic energy. Although basilisks are historically famous for their deadly glares, the basilisks in this universe survive by eating magic. Sucking the magic out of someone doesn't kill them, it just renders a witch or demon powerless and weak. But although the oblong blood cell-shaped objects running through the pipes of Belos' door portal are a lot smaller than the magic burped out by the basilisk, they do look kind of similar. It's also interesting to note that basilisks can't eat the magic out of Luz's paper glyphs, so is this type of wild magic the key to defeating them and thus why Belos fears it? Or does he share a similar weakness? After Luz and the Troublemakers defeated the Inspector, Principal Bump said that the Emperor's Coven refused to even admit that basilisks still existed. They've supposedly been extinct for many years, but clearly that's not the case. This is when I started thinking that there must be something more going on if the EC is flat out denying that there's a loose basilisk on the Isles. It turns out that Belos and his cronies knew exactly what was going on with the basilisk. Homeboy figured out some Jurassic Park hocus pocus and brought 5 big ol' snakes back to life. In order to study exactly how the basilisks extract magic from their prey, he and his goons experimented on each of them, forcing them to feed constantly in complete isolation. But why? The first thing that came to mind was the spell used to seal away a witch's magic after they pledge allegiance to one of his covens. Belos has clearly found a way to stop witches from accessing multiple types of magic, but that might not be enough. He might want to remove their powers completely. My theory is that this is part of his plan for the Day of Unity. Using what he gathered from his research on the basilisks, he'll suck the magic out of every witch on the Isles. Possibly he's just trying to power up past needing hourly palisman snacks, but I think he's got his sights set a little higher. I believe he's going to attempt to siphon all of that magic into the Titan in order to reanimate it. I also think that he could be using all of this magic to fuse the human and demon realms together. We could potentially be looking at a Star versus the forces of evil situation here, folks. When Star destroys all magic, Muni ends up cleaving with Earth, and the two dimensions fuse into one. What if Belos doesn't want all that magic for himself or for the Titan? Maybe he just wants to erase magic forever. This isn't high on my list, but I can't rule it out completely. What is clear is that Belos wants to steal magic for the Day of Unity. But how is Belos gonna suck the magic out of every single witch on the Boiling Isles like Rain claims he plans to? Is he going to use the basilisks themselves to do it? Or has he found a way to imitate their process? Is that why the Inspector Basilisk showed up at all 3 schools to feast? Could she have been sent by Belos as a test run to see how quickly she could devour their magic? It's apparently pretty easy to extract magic from the belly of a basilisk. All you gotta do is punch him in the breadbasket and it flies right out. It would be easy for Belos to force his basilisk team to cough up the goods for his sinister purposes. We also see in this week's episode a pair of rats that ate enchanted croissants and gained magical sentience. So maybe Belos is gonna light up the EC's BBQ and absorb the magic via medium rare snake steak. If that's the endgame and the lead-up is years of horrific abuse, no wonder some of the basilisks planned an escape. One of those snacks was obviously V, but what happened to the other basilisks? Where did the inspector go after Bump chased her out of Hexside? Did the EC pick her up, or did Bump take care of her on his own? Are the 2 basilisks that fled with V still out there, or have they been recaptured? And then you have to account for the 5th basilisk we've yet to see any trace of. I know what you're thinking. Aw, gee, Whitney, it sounds like we have a Chekhov's gun scenario here. And to that I say no. We've got a Chekhov's basilisk, and that's gotta be at least 10 times worse. They can't just drop that there's 5 basilisks and only show us 4 of them. So keep your eyes peeled. I just know that last one is gonna pop up to steal some magic by the end of the season. V luckily was able to successfully escape the Emperor's Coven and took Luz's entrance to the Boiling Isles as her ticket away from a life of living in fear. Shortly after she crosses realms into Connecticut, she's approached by Luz's mom and morphs into her doppelganger for the first time. Camilla offers to drive her to summer camp, and because she's never had a mom or even a life outside her cage, she decides to just go with it. And even though it's supposed to be a training program to guide unique kids to conform, V makes the best of it. She makes friends with her bunkmates at camp despite the fact that they're cooler, older high schoolers. When she returns home, spending time with Camilla, even if the 2 of them were just doing mundane, everyday things, turns out to be everything she's ever wanted. For the first time, someone loves her, takes care of her, and makes her feel at home. Because she's so grateful for her new life, V doesn't understand why Luz took Camilla, camp, and these potential friendships in the human world for granted. She begins to resent her, and outwardly tries to become the perfect daughter and friend in her absence. V pretty much does the opposite of Luz in almost every situation. When Luz ran away from camp, V was excited to take her place. She saw camp as an opportunity for new experiences instead of a prison sentence, and embraced the lessons she learned there instead of feeling anxious about them. When she gets back home, she keeps her room clean and tidy like she learned at camp, keeps the hair out of her face using barrettes, and is overall extremely focused and helpful around the house. She even cleans out Luz's room, throwing away all of the quirky things that represented her uniqueness. If Luz doesn't want a mom who loves her in a real home, that's fine by V, she'll take it. V is obviously terrified that Luz appears to have returned to take her old life back, and the anxiety she feels about having to go back to the demon realm causes her to partially transform back into her basilisk self. Honestly though, her half-basilisk, half-human identity is super adorable. She has cute little white deer-like spots on her skin, floppy ears, and yellow eyes that blink sideways. Side quest again, V wears yellow-tinted sunglasses when she's experiencing this in-between phase, similar to how the Inspector Basilisk wore purple-tinted spectacles in her human form. Is this a trick they use to hide their side blinkers? Or could it have something to do with ancient basilisk lore about their deadly gazes? In order to recharge her magic, V goes on a hunt through Luz's hometown to find traces of magic to snack on. And this quest opens up a lot of new lore to speculate on. For starters, Luz's Connecticut town has very similar vibes to Salem, Massachusetts, as it has deep ties with witchcraft. It's no surprise that a town by the name of Gravesfield is the transit point to the demon realm. Gravesfield was founded in 1635, right around the time of Philip Whittibane's visit to the Boiling Isles, and pretty much exactly the time that England established its Connecticut colony IRL. According to Gravesfield Historical Society's museum curator, Jacob Hopkins, Gravesfield was a peaceful colony before a witch lured 2 brothers into the demon realm. This apparently caused some sort of horrific fire and might have been the canon catalyst for the American witch hunts. These brothers had such an impact on the history of Gravesfield that they became immortalized as historic statues around town. It's pretty clear that one of the humans is Philip Whitney, and now that we have confirmation that he had a brother join him on his journey to the Isles, it seems to confirm that Emperor Belos was his brother. I know some fans think that Belos' ears prove he isn't human, but I'm personally subscribed to the theory that he cut his ears to blend in on the Isles. In a roundabout way, this episode also confirms that Hunter is likely Philip's child or Grimwalker clone, and that's why Belos refers to him as his nephew. A few weeks ago, I also had a theory that Lil Rascal was drawn to Hunter because he belonged to his father, and that seems to be the case in this image. If you look closely, you can see that the brother shaking the witch's hand has a cardinal on his shoulder. Interestingly, this implies that Philip displayed trust with this witch, while his brother appears to be more antagonistic with a mob torch in hand. More notably, it looks like the assumed brother Belos appears to be holding a glyph. Does this mean that Belos used to practice glyph magic before he was cursed? Or is he simply holding the glyph as evidence to burn this witch? If we look back at the Gravesfield memorial statues, the brother in the front appears to have a similar nose to Belos. His closed fist body language suggests that he was the more aggressive of the two, and the book in hand shows that he was renowned for his intellect in some capacity. Could this book be a Bible or even a set of laws? Contrast his positioning with the brother that is holding what might be blueprints. Could they be an architect or scientist? This brother appears to have a more demure stance too. Based on these depictions of the brothers, my running theory is that Belos was the eldest, more accomplished brother, who might have been the one responsible for the colony in Gravesfield. At some point, rumors of witch sightings likely had the town rife with paranoia. Philip, the more sensitive brother, somehow befriended or admired this witch and Little Rascal, while Belos led a witch hunt. This somehow led to the pair getting trapped on the Boiling Isles. Perhaps even different points, with Philip visiting first and Belos leading a rescue mission to recover his brother. Naturally, Philip would see magic as a new science to be studied, while Belos would cling to a puritanical fear of witches. Could this have caused a change in the power dynamic between the pair? Would Belos become jealous of his lesser brother's acceptance and proficiency in wild glyph magic while he floundered in this strange environment? Maybe Belos' entire long-con plan is to fulfill his witch-hunting duties and destroy and conquer magic. Could seeing his brother seduced by wild magic have motivated him to impose tyrannical order across the Isles? Or did he actually start communicating with the Titan's spirit, and did it turn him against Philip? It's too soon to say for sure, but I think that there's some evidence that this is the case thanks to the realm in between. After V is captured by Jacob and breaks her mirror, a disembodied voice whispers to Luz. It's easy to miss, but the closed captions note a voice saying Noceda right before Luz calls upon Camilla Noceda to save V. Could this voice be the Titan? And is it possible that this voice planted the idea of contacting Camilla in Luz's mind? Is it possible that Belos followed Philip to the Boiling Isles but somehow got trapped in this shadow realm? If there is an entity inhabiting this space, could it have brainwashed Belos and made him its puppet? If that's true, Belos is just a pawn, and the Day of Unity might just be a ploy by this psychic presence to break free from this limbo. This would explain why Whitney's journal hasn't seemed to mention a brother yet. He simply didn't know that his brother was lost to this realm between worlds when he started his research. Like I said, this theory needs some more evidence, but if true, Luz might also be able to communicate with the Titan now that she's been exposed to this mirror world herself. Keep your ears open for any future voices she might subconsciously hear. I wouldn't put it past a horror fan like Dana to introduce Lovecraftian elements to her Disney demon show. I do want to know more about this witch that the Gravesfield brothers encountered. Right now, my best bet is that she's the collector who trapped the owl beast, but that's just due to process of elimination. I'm also interested in what this symbol might mean for the future of the series. It immediately is giving me the same vibes as the mural in the owl house, so I wonder if there's a connection. As is, this appears to be a crest of a songbird, possibly trapped in a glass cage. Or it's being eaten by a pig if you flip it upside down. Seriously, I'm a little stumped by this one, so leave some of your own theories down in the comments. Circling back to Jacob Hopkins, is it just me, or does this guy kind of have Belos vibes to him? Like, is he the human descendant of his son Belos left behind or something? This guy is clearly a misguided conspiracy theorist, but he's armed to the teeth with weapons and deadly magical artifacts, including a training wand similar to the one Amity used in Season 1. I believe this wand holds a charge and thus is capable of performing magic in the human realm, so it might end up being Luz's key to defending the human realm if she's stranded without power. I also think it's interesting that Jacob's suit of armor looks a bit like the armor featured in the mural of King's dad. I wonder if that means that we'll see King don this armor by series end. Finally, let's talk about this week's mystery code. The code from last episode read, "Seething seas and puppet strings, he no longer dreams." And this week, the hidden word was of. We'll have to wait till part B of season 2 picks back up to find out what he's dreaming of. But it's gotta rhyme with strings though. Right now, my guess is either wings or huntings, in reference to Belos' witch hunt days. These are just some of my thoughts on yesterday's lie, but I wanna know what you guys think in the comments. Also, stay tuned, because we've got a small backlog of Owl House videos rolling out, and I'm sure you'll enjoy some of my theories. Like and subscribe to WhitneyVision, and check out our Patreon if you want to donate. I'm Scarlet Wit, and you're watching WhitneyVision.